Just fucking do it. Subscribe now.
Put a cap in your family's head. Put a bullet in their head. Now, I don't see that's the easiest thing I ever did. Because I don't have those emotional ties. Like most human beings. Yeah.
So was he trying to do everything A to Z because he was trying to basically feed business to his family?
No. His family's out of the construction business. They only own the sawmill sauna business. But he still hasn't gotten rid of it. But initially, when he went, my recommendation was to close down. Like I tell you, most of you should close your business down. Okay? And he said, well, what about my family? I said, well, what about them? You know, and but they have nothing to do with the real estate development, property development. They just all live, they suck the tit of the sawmill and lumber. But just after he built the sawmill, you could buy lumber in Florida, skinned, in other words, the log without the bark on it, ship it from Florida to northern Italy, and northern Italy is just separated from Austria, where he is, cheaper than you could cut down trees in Austria and sell them there.
That's why I asked if he was trying to keep that business alive by tying it together.
No, he didn't tie it together. He didn't tie it together in that sense. He buys the lumber from his own lumber company, from the sawmill, but the sawmill is a separate entity that, as he said, makes 750 or 780,000 euros a year, which is like, nothing. After 10 years, like he said, it's nothing. It is nothing. All the time and effort that he put in, the only benefit that he got, if you want to call it a benefit, I don't, is he kept his family employed.
Sawmill's not cutting down the trees, they're just processing.
Correct.
And TK's buying existing stuff, rehabbing it. But he's not doing it with zoning and all that shit.
No.
Just rehab the building.
Yeah. Yeah. And and we show this for a couple of reasons. Number one, you don't have to have a board. He told you it was a mistake, okay? Number two, it's not easy to put a cap in your old lady's head. And some of you are in that situation, okay? That's fine. As somebody said, I forget who said it a number of years ago, with QLA, you get to pick your own poison. So, he, it's also an example of not cross-collateralizing, although he didn't bring it up, because the bank can never have enough collateral. Never, ever, never. I have kids come here that inherited money, and the bank has 300% collateral on the 300, because nobody's ever borrowed or leaned anything in 75, 100 years, and then so and so dies. Now you have it. What do I do? And you look at how can the assets be? Something's not right here. Debits and credits. I mean, something's not right. And nobody's ever borrowed money because the rich people had set up a trust for everybody to live off of, so it was different than these assets. But it's not unusual. There's a lot of big families that have, 200-300 times or 200-300% more collateral than's required. Now, the bank's never going to come and tell you to take collateral out. That won't happen because they can use it for the defunct loans on the other side, in some other industry. But I mean, he's aware of it, and now he's building a board. But he should have at least made 15, 20 times more money, at least, minimum. And then if he got enterprising, and this was no luck. This is hard fucking work. Like I told him many years ago, the only luck you had is bad. This was after the contractors went bankrupt. It's a hard fucking way to make a living. This is like a hooker, $50 a pop. I mean, one after another after another. It's a hard living. And but he's persevered. A lot of guys or gals would have given up on this in the beginning because it's not easy. It's not easy. And so now he realizes a lot of the guys up there he knows from 2010. Fuck. You know, he's not broke, or, you know, he's still good.
So he had the information, he chose the wrong path, essentially.
Yep. And he chose the wrong path, lack of self-esteem, lack of balls. And he's a ballsy guy, but he had put a ring fence, is that how you say it? Ring fenced his family. You know, you can go to Florida, a lot of guys go to Florida because you can ring fence. In other words, the home that you live in, even if you go bankrupt, they can't take it from you. That's what I'm trying to say in Florida. And there's 4 or 5 other states in the United States. Well, he ring fenced his family so they were sacrosanct. And a lot of guys, I mean, believe me, he's not the only one. And I can normally put a 3 to 10 factor on that's how much it cost you. If you've earned $1 million, you could have earned 3 to 10 million. If you earned 10 million, you could have earned 30 to 100 million. Because normally your family are brain dead. I've had a grandmother, a son, and a daughter. And the grandmother said, you know, I kept everything and didn't sell it, didn't want to go public because I know all my kids and relations would get fired because they're all not too bright. Right there. Her son's sitting right there and her granddaughter's sitting right there. They're not too bright. And if it wasn't for me, they'd starve to death. I couldn't do that. Now, I could. I mean, fuck, in a New York Minute. I put them in slabs and fucking, you know, I do the death roll-up. And the fucking, either they went to the crematorium or they went to the funeral hall and we buried them. And another crooked license to steal is cemeteries. What? You can't get a cemetery built anymore because of all the environmental shit. And when my grandmother died a number of years ago, other than I went to visit her, you know, they had open casket, and my cousin is standing behind me, and she turns like this is in her casket. She turns like this and opens her eyes. I mean, my cousin pissed himself and ran out of the goddamn viewing. And I said, I know I didn't see that. That wasn't real. But when we went to find, many years later, when we went to find her, she wasn't where she was supposed to be buried. They bury them wherever the fuck they want. And you know how you stand over the grave and you say prayers and shit, you know, when go back in 5 years and see where the fuck they're buried. And if you think that your grandma that got cremated, those are her ashes, you're a fucking moron. And if you don't think Fido's not in there, you're fucking brain dead. Why? How can you believe this shit? Why? It's one of the whys I ask. And do you think they clean the motherfucking ovens out every time they... Come on! Where are you people from? Mars? We've had, what do you call the guys that fix the bodies and bomb the bodies? What do you call them?
Embalmers?
No, but there's morticians. They got jokes. In addition to the extracurricular activities, they got fucking, I mean, and these people come back 50 years later and they expect it to, you know, the DNA. What are they smoking? But we found my grandmother, and she wanted, my aunt wanted to be married with her, my grandmother wanted to be married with her daughter, which is my mother's sister. And if you got money, you can find those motherfucking graves. But what if you don't have any money? You're fucked. Is it worth 40, 50 grand to find out where your grandmother's really buried? For most people, no. They'll just tell the kids, yeah, we found her, she's in the right place. You know, yeah, Santa Claus put her there. Yet, I mean, so you know, as knowledgeable as some of you are vis-a-vis the internet, you don't know cock. But I stopped worrying about that 20, 25 years ago. It still amazes me, though. But he's done terrific. He's done terrific. He could have been more, this is not a word, terrificer. He could have done a lot more. And because he has contact with a lot of the guys that have made 10, 20, 30, 40 billion. And you made a paltry, fuck. And he had me telling you, I told you so. And I'm not the kind of guy that's, well, I'm not going to tell you, I told you so. I told you so. I told you, moron. You are as stupid as I said you were in the seminar. And you should have dumped that fucking skag that you called your significant other. And I say the same thing over and over and over. And I never give up on that. I'm relentless. And your daughter's a fucking slut whore, just like I told you. Boom, 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 and I never give up. That's why we also have the lowest social media following. Because back 15, 18 years ago, when I used to answer social media, I could go from, in those days I had 6,000, I could go down to 5,100 in a week, from 6,000, down to 5,100. And if I kept answering, I'd go down to 4,500. So don't follow me, asshole. You're not doing me any favors. But then when we started giving all the product away free, that was a dichotomy. You know, but I mean, we don't have any, we don't have to have any, what do you call, when people take care of the customers, customer service? We don't have any. If you don't like the free shit, fuck you. And the whore you wrote in on. But some people live off of what they sell on the internet. I could never sell enough on the internet to live my lifestyle. The guy that sells the most shit on the planet couldn't support my lifestyle from his internet sales. So why go through all that shit? Comments? Any questions? Other questions about Marcus? Yes, sir.
He said he owed 100% of the share?
Yep.
Was that of the holding?
Pardon?
Was that of the holding company?
Everything. He owns 100% everything.
And you're the chairman?
Yeah.
How did he do that?
Huh? Well, I came in late. But he's not the only one that owns 100% of the shares. We've got we've got maybe 4 or 5 on the Hall of Fame that own 100%. But then there's the guy next to him. This guy's worth $2 billion. This guy's worth $22 billion. Same industry, same time frame. And the guy that's got $2 billion. Now I'm antisocial. If there's anybody that's antisocial, because I really mean that. If you drop, if this little Ku Klux Klaner dropped dead at the table, I wouldn't give a shit. I wouldn't get up to piss on his face if we're on fire. That's just how I am. And, or our Jew back then with a smiling, always smiling because he's insecure. I don't give a fuck. I really don't give a fuck. Guy going off the estate so I don't have to fill out paperwork. That's all I ask. Off the estate, then I'm clean. Like Pontius Pilate did to Christ. It was the rabbis that supposedly voted to crucify Jesus. I don't know if that's true or not, but I know that's the gig. That's the story they use. But there's a reason why, and part of the Dream Team and the whole concept I fell upon by accident. Just as I fell upon Andrew Carnegie by accident. But see, unlike you guys, I jumped on it like a fucking girl with a 1-inch vagina, and my dick's 2 inches. I mean, I leaped on that motherfucking model quicker than Johnny got out of the Army. You'd still be thinking about it. That's the difference. The guys that made the most money are the guys that pulled the trigger the fastest. Remember, the winners are those of you that get focused first and stay focused longest are the guys and gals that make the big money. Now, this isn't big money, what you just heard. It's a lot bigger than your money, but I mean, it's not big money. It's not big money. And but I've always taken action. And just as when I figured out what the Dream Team was, and remember, my first Dream Team, I bought half of it. When I bought The guy called me New Year's Eve. Dan, can you do me a solid? Can you buy this piece of shit off me? We can do it with a fax machine. And I get over there, and there's more money in the fucking checking account than I paid him, plus a 6-story building on Curzon Street in London. I just jumped on it. And then I'm up in the Hilton having a drink, and I go through the newspaper. And in this country, in Britain, you have to print your prospectus in the newspaper the day before you go public. You have to print your prospectus. So there's 2 or 3 pages of prospectus. And I was standing at the bar, and Sally and I were just at this bar a few months ago. We went back to revisit where I had been and made this decision. And I go, fuck, this is dog shit. Of course, they had just discovered oil in the North Seas. Oil was hot because the North Sea saved Maggie Thatcher's government from bankruptcy. Well, I didn't have to go Google fuck. I jumped on it and stuck my 1-inch dick in a 1/2-inch hole like I took a shit. You can't do that. It's not balls. It has nothing to do with balls. So all these things I've done, I don't even think about. Just as Nick, he doesn't think about it, right? Why do you think I show you these motherfucking films? Because one thing that separates me from you at night. That was the primary reason I started. I'm a transplant. I don't want to see this black guy and there's a Jew back in the... fuck you! I'm racist. I'm anti-everything. Why would I want to sit around and watch a movie like I used to do maybe twice in my children's lives? I watched a movie with them. Maybe twice. I can't think of either movie, but I think we saw The Sound of Music. I think. I'm not positive. But in there they say you can't have a dream come true unless you have a dream. So that's why I think it was The Sound of Music. I just pulled the trigger. When the buffalo ran over me, I can tell you 100 things like the buffalo running over me. And that's not why I stopped hunting, by the way. That's not why I stopped hunting. There's a picture on social media. There's a water buffalo about where New Zealand is. And I'm standing like this. And my white hunter guide is behind me taking a camera. And I just looked at he was a male. And he was missing teeth. And he looked sad. I couldn't shoot him. But then the real trick was how to get out of his fucking way. I'd already just been run over by a buffalo about 6 months before, and I know what that felt like. So we're climbing up trees, and these little skinny trees couldn't hold my big weight. And so I'm swinging like a cartoon. And he takes a pass at me. I swing back the other way. He takes a pass at me. And by the grace of God, he got tired of taking a pass at me, and he went off to the herd and left. And then I'm thinking I should have shot that fucker right in the head when I had the chance. But you guys, you think about it. And some of you even think about it more. And you know that. I probably gave this, in the Battle of the Somme in 1917, the Germans and the Allies fought over about 300 or 500 meters for 2.5 years. They'd go 50 yards that way, and then they'd go 50 yards that way, okay? And then so they'd line up the Allies, the Australians, the Canadians, and the Americans, and the Brits, and they'd have a little Dutch courage. They'd have a couple of shots, and they'd always shave before the charge. I don't know about that, and so there'd be a young lieutenant, as they say, with a whistle and a riding crop and a pistol. And he said, "Lads, are we ready? Beep, beep!" And they go over the top. One's going to be killed, one's going to be maimed, and one's going to live. Why would those kids do that? Training. Training and training and training. If you train and practice, you'll be multi-billionaires. But you're too fucking lazy. You're all lazy for a different reason. And it's got nothing to do with balls. It's called discipline. And your parents fucked you. Because they had no discipline. You had an E9 for a father. He knows discipline. See, the sad thing is I have almost a photographic memory, so I remember about all you fucking pieces of shit. I wish. It's like a curse. I don't want to look at her and think of an E9. I don't want to, the sea sun, I'm dead with her. But I don't want to look at her and think of fucking New Zealand. I'm cursed, but a photographic memory has helped me in business. Because I know what this, half-breed said on the first night. 20 years from now, when he's got a few shekels, not real shekels, but shekels is money in Israel, for those of you that don't know. He's got a few shekels, or Mr. Russian back here got a few rubles. But I remember what you say. By the way, Marcus is the only guy that, in those days we used to sign an agreement. At the end of the seminar, I want to make 40 jillion, you're going to make 20 jillion, you're going to do this, you're going to do this, you're going to fuck Mrs. America. Well, no, you're not going to fuck Mrs. America. You're going to fuck Mrs. America. He's the only one that met his goal that he signed, he guaranteed, of the 25 in the seminar. He's the only guy that did exactly what he said he was going to do. But he was a world-class athlete at one time. I wouldn't have expected any less. Anything else about Marcus? Okay, YouTube, go fuck yourself.